15 Rudest countries in the world. Hello viewers and welcome back to the channel. Being rude is different from being cold and aloof, which is why we decided to build a list of the world's 15 rudest countries. This list will be very helpful to all travelers departing on vacation during this holiday season, so they may distinguish between the bothersome, rude practices of one nation. Number 15. Slovakia. Slovakia is regarded as one of the most nationalistic nations in Europe, since it has had to deal with the migrant situation on numerous occasions over the past few years. Even the anti-immigration PM of Slovakia, Robert Fico, has stated that tens of thousands of Muslims are not welcome in this nation and that Islam has no place in Slovakia. In Bratislava, there have been a lot of anti-immigration protests, and the country has been outspoken about its views on migrants. The dictatorship of the EU, on the other hand, could be the cause of those protests. The far-right Slovak National Party was elected to parliament last year after Fico lost his parliamentary majority. The growth of nationalism in this country is more than evident. The rudest part is that some tourists' thoughts imply that restaurants provide subpar service and are smoke-filled because smoking is still permitted in select bars. Another issue is that the majority of people live in constant misery. Number 14. Hungary. Hungary demonstrated its true face during the migration crisis, similar to Slovakia. They had a strident anti-immigration stance and were openly nasty to migrants. You may recall the horrible video of a Hungarian journalist on the Serbian-Hungarian border. In addition, there have been a lot of far-right nationalist movements on the political scene. Comparing it to the other nations on our list, it was only mentioned on forums and online lists a few times. Number 13. Austria. Austria is renowned for its academics, musicians, and artists, many of whom resided in Vienna. As a result, a great deal of travelers are eager to see and experience this lovely nation. Therefore, perhaps facing visitors is something the Viennese have grown tired of. That might be one of the factors contributing to some people's perception of Austria as an unwelcoming and harsh nation. Austria is also moving toward far-right, nationalistic politics as a result of the immigration crisis. Number 12. Croatia. Croatia comes up at number 12 on our ranking of the world's most xenophobic nations. You might be asking, why Croatia? Or could Serbian citizens be the reason our nation ended up on this list? It undoubtedly has something to do with the more than 20 years of nationalist and territorial conflicts between the surrounding nations. National disputes and the emergence of nationalism in the Balkans are well-known problems. Other justifications for the nation's harshness included the fact that waiters hardly wanted to obtain a glass of water. So make sure to request something different than water if you visit Croatia. Some sources suggest that nationalistic sentiments may make a comeback in this nation. Number 11. Poland. On our ranking of the rudest, most nationalistic nations in the world, Poland comes in at number 11. In terms of migrant repute, it is comparable to Slovakia and Hungary. The Visegrad 4 or V4 countries are characterized as having nationalistic tensions and anti-migrant policies during the refugee crisis. As a result of these accusations and the growth of far-right parties in recent years that had a hostile attitude toward foreigners, there were numerous disputes on forums. Thousands of Poles with a nationalistic bent gathered in Poland's capital on their Independence Day to take part in a nationalist march, which highlights the nationalism problem that is becoming more and more of a problem in this nation. Number 10. Argentina. Argentina is oddly included in our list of rude nations. Even if it is renowned as a place where people may enjoy tango and steak, it may now also be regarded as the rudest nation. At least in the opinion of some, people are most offended by their pompous attitude. Number 9. Spain. Many posts on forums claim that Spain, which came in 9th on our list of the nations with the most nationalist sentiments in 2017, was among the friendliest. However, a lot of visitors said that their interactions with Spaniards were unpleasant. Specifically, 3.15% of those polled believe Spanish people are unfriendly to tourists. Most of the comments were made at cafes and restaurants. However, as a result of the Catalonia conflict, their nationalism is growing. What do you think of Spain? Number 8. Germany. Although some people believe that Germans are overly courteous, Others have the opposite view. Even though there weren't many complaints, it is still on our list because it was repeatedly referred to as a harsh country and a nationalistic one. There are unmistakable indications that German nationalism is on the rise. Germany doesn't exactly have a reputation for being the friendliest or happiest country in the world, and that is definitely fair to say. Germans are allegedly known for a variety of traits, including bluntness that easily turns into arrogance, a tedious commitment to structure, a distinct lack of humor, and an aggressive-sounding language that makes politely asking for a ham sandwich sound like a decisive order to attack, according to traditional stereotypes. Number 7. USA. The United States is ranked 8th on our list of the world's rudest, most nationalistic nations. The presidential elections from the previous year show nationalistic allegiances. Visitors to America, and particularly New York, either adore or detest the country. Nothing exists in between. Therefore, we focused on the people who obviously disliked it in our list. People listed the top 3 things they dislike most about the USA as being crowded streets, pushing, and yelling. Men and women behaving badly have become the standard of a hurry-up culture, from road rage during the morning commute to loud cell phone conversations that ruin dining out. Common courtesy has been put to the test by a rising informality, even flip-flops at the White House, self-absorbed communication tools, and a need for rapid gratification. Number 6. Italy. Are Italians unkind? Yes, and a lot of people concur. Foreigners claim that because they exclusively speak their own language, value their own culture, and only consume their own food, they are very nationalistic-oriented. Can you really blame them? Italians are renowned for some of the best cuisine in the world, but it is clear that rudeness is not one of their strong suits. Additionally, as in all of Europe as a result of the immigration situation, nationalistic parties are growing there. Italians don't always say please, thank you, or you're welcome, contrary to other cultures. This occurs not because they are unkind, but rather because our customs differ from those of other nations. It is apparent that Italians use these terms and use them when appropriate, but perhaps not as frequently as those from other cultures. Number 5. Great Britain. Our data support the widespread perception that British people are aloof, cold, and occasionally disrespectful to foreign visitors. Their politics towards the European Union, or better put, their Brexiting out of it, is another aspect that demonstrates their nationalistic bent. Some forum users also suggest this explanation, even though it oversimplifies the problem a little. British people value their privacy. Both leaving others alone and being left alone appeal to them. Keep your nose out, you stay out of my business, and I'll stay out of yours are only a few examples of phrases in the language that expresses this value system. Therefore, the British are very restrained when in public. Conversation with complete strangers is uncommon, although this is certainly not the case all over the UK. Most individuals read books, look at their phones, or wear headphones when on public transportation. Number 4. Greece. Greece typically draws tourists in the summer because of its stunning scenery and fantastic beaches. Some claim that Greece is not the friendliest place in the world to spend a summer vacation, though. Some people have complained that waiters are not as nice, that people don't smile as much when they see you're a foreigner, etc. Many remarks at the same time defended this Mediterranean nation as the location with the best cuisine selection and the friendliest people. Since Greece is one of the first nations immigrants passed through on their journey to the European continent, nationalistic connections are a result of the ongoing immigration crisis. Number 3. Russia. One of the main criticisms of Russia as the rudest nation is that its citizens are chilly, not just in terms of the weather. First of all, few languages are spoken by Russians, and some claim that their only pastime is drinking vodka. Since there are many amiable Russians, we believe that this is an overgeneralization. Additionally, the majority of the critical remarks focused on Putin and his nationalistic views, which is why this nation ranks 3rd on the list of the rudest nations with a strong sense of nationalism in the world. Number 2. Some contend that China's prominence on the list of the world's rudest nations is due to the stark cultural differences between the two countries. Others, however, wouldn't concur. Chinese people appear to behave strangely to Westerners because they frequently stare at them without smiling. They don't appear to even make an effort to comprehend them when they seek assistance. They are second on our ranking because they are nation-focused on the political scene. It seems to lose its utility in a setting like contemporary China, where common courtesy towards strangers has a low exchange rate. For instance, in Beijing, the person who reached their palm out the closest to the ticket office was given their ticket before those who had waited in line. Number 1. France. If there are any negative things you have heard about France or French people, they include, among many other things, the following: French people are rude, French people don't shower, and French people smoke a lot. In books, movies, and daily life, there is a strong emphasis on and reinforcement of the stereotype of the French. We all have preconceived notions of what the French are like: obnoxious, pretentious, artsy, their barrettes slipping off as they sniff snobbishly. France is unquestionably at the top of our ranking of the world's rudest, most nationalistic nations. The vast majority of comments named this nation as the one where visitors had poor encounters with waiters, store employees, and people in general on the streets. Even though they are familiar with English, the French prefer that everyone else speak their own language, which is a rather patriotic viewpoint. Additionally, Marine Le Pen is one of the prominent politicians who are announcing their national allegiances and support for the far-right movement.